Remember the first time you built something with AI, a landing page or a simple app, and the feeling after the first results? Wow, this is amazing, this is exactly what I need, and it only took me 5 minutes to build. I'm sending this to all my friends, I'm a superhero. Maybe not exactly that, but it felt great, didn't it? Well, you should also know that when everyone is super, then no one will be. And after a few minutes, then hours of polishing your almost ready idea, you get to this point. Now what? Because that's where most people get stuck. I'm Edwin. I'm head of delivery at Rocksoft. Lately, I often sit down with founders who are exactly at this point. They have something, it looks like it works. They say to me, hey, look, this took me only 5 minutes to build and it looks beautiful. Can you just use 10 minutes instead of 5, polish it and release it for me? Well, first we need to find out if it's actually ready or if you're sitting on a ticking bomb. So grab a coffee because in the next few minutes I'll show you exactly what to do with what you've built. Let me start with something that sounds obvious, but isn't. Working is not the same as ready. Your AI-built app works. It does the thing you asked it to do. But working means it runs on your machine with your data when you click the buttons in the right order. Ready means it runs for 500 strangers on their devices with their data when they click whatever they want. And those are two completely different things. Here's the simplest way I can explain this gap. Imagine you ask someone to build you a car. They hand you something with 4 wheels, an engine and a steering wheel. You sit in it, you turn the key, it starts, looks like a car, feels like a car, but nobody put in airbags. Nobody tested the brakes at high speed. Nobody checked what happens if it rains. It works fine in a parking lot. You just wouldn't want to take it out on the road. That's your AI prototype. Great for testing your idea. Not ready for real traffic. And the problem is, most founders don't find this out until they're already on the highway. So what's actually missing from most AI-built apps? In my experience, it always comes down to 3 things. The first one is security. Now, I know, as soon as someone says security, people's eyes glaze over. So let me make this very simple. Your app probably shows each user their own information. Their orders, their profile, their data, whatever it is. Each piece of data has an ID, a number like this. Here's the problem. What stops someone from changing 1042 to 1043 or 1044 or just running through every number until they've seen every order in your system? Nothing. If nobody built that check-in, and AI very often doesn't, then anyone who knows how a URL works can see everyone's data. You don't need to be a hacker. You don't need any special skills. All you need is curiosity and a keyboard. This is one of the most common things we find. 45% of AI-generated apps have known security gaps like this. Not because AI is bad at writing code, because nobody asked it to think about what could go wrong. AI is optimizing for, does the button work? Security is about, what if someone really doesn't want the button to work the way you intended? Those are 2 different questions. And AI only answers one of them. The second thing is structure. When AI builds your app, it makes hundreds of small decisions. Where does the data live? How do different parts talk to each other? What happens when something fails? Each individual decision is fine. The problem is, nobody designed the whole thing. And that's invisible until you want to grow. Classic example. Founder builds an internal tool with AI. Works great for a team of 5. Fast, clean, everyone loves it. 6 months later, they want to connect it to their CRM. Add different access levels for different users. Maybe open it up for clients. They bring in a developer. Developer comes back and says, I've found 3 critical issues, 10 security concerns and 25 performance issues. We should fix them before we can add anything new. The founder is confused because the tool works, so what's the problem? The problem is, it was built to do one thing for 5 people right now. And nobody even thought about asking, what does this need to do in a year? That conversation would have taken one afternoon. The rebuild takes 2 months. The third thing, and this one is the most expensive and the most invisible, is that nobody knows how it was built. When you build with AI, the decisions happen in a chat window. You type something, it responds, you accept it, and move on. 6 months later, something breaks. Someone asks, why does this part work this way? Nobody knows. The conversation is gone. There are no notes, no documentation, no explanation. Just code that works until it doesn't. And when it breaks, nobody can fix it because nobody knows what they're dealing with. I've seen projects where a change that should take 3 days takes 3 weeks. Not because the team doesn't know what they're doing, because every time someone touches something, something else breaks, and nobody knows why. We have a name for it: hallucination debt. It's the cost that accumulates every time AI makes a decision that nobody reviewed and nobody wrote down. It doesn't show up on day one. It shows up when you're growing fast and every small change becomes a major operation. Now, let me talk about money, because this is usually where people lean in. The traditional options for building software properly. Option 1. A development agency does it for you. $50,000 to $150,000 for an MVP. 6 months minimum. Real quality. But most founders can't justify that investment before they've validated their idea. Option 2. Hire a senior developer. $10,000 to $30,000 per month. And you're still making all the decisions yourself. Neither of those options is wrong. They're just not designed for where most founders are when they come to us. But here's the number people don't calculate. When something goes wrong after launch, and it will if the foundation isn't solid, emergency fixes cost $200 to $500 per hour. A real data incident for a mid-sized business costs almost $5 million on average. That's IBM research, not a scare tactic. And fixing a structural problem after you've built 6 months of new features on top of it costs 3 to 5 times what it would have cost to catch it in week 1. I'm not saying this to scare you or talk you out of building with AI. I'm saying this to educate you, because security matters for you, for your clients, and for your business, especially when you're building with AI. The way we work at Rocksoft starts with something called route mapping. We love mountains, so naturally all our processes are named after climbing. Before any AI writes a single line of code on a real product, we plan. Not in a theoretical way, in a very specific document at the end way. Here's what actually happens. You come to us with whatever you have. An idea, a prototype, something already built. We look at it before we meet. Then we work through it together. What do you want to build and why? What happens if you don't build it? Then we find answers to what gets built first and what waits. What systems does this need to connect to? Where are the risks that could blow up in the timeline? What does this need to handle as the business grows? What security does this actually need? We make those decisions on purpose before they get made for us in the code. And at the end, you get a written document. A real working document, not a flashy presentation. An actual specification. What gets built, in what order, on what foundation, and what it will cost. You leave that session knowing exactly where you stand and what comes next. That's the output. About a week from first call to finished document. You don't need to spend $50,000 just to find out what you're going to build. You already know what you can build with AI, but with us you'll find out how you can build it securely, and you'll get much more done in a shorter period of time. Making sure you build the right thing at the start is the best investment in the project. Then we move on to the real climb, building with AI. But here's what's different about how we do it. AI generates the code. Our engineers check every line before it goes anywhere near real users. Nothing ships without a human approving it. And look, We use AI ourselves in every single project because it truly speeds things up. But we're not just asking, does it run? We're asking, is it safe? Will it hold up in 6 months? Can we add to it without breaking everything? Only 23% of teams consistently check AI-generated code before shipping. We are in that 23%. The difference is big. So who does actually need this? Honestly, not everyone. And I mean that. If you're still figuring out whether your idea works at all, use AI tools directly. Build something fast and ugly, or fast and pretty. Test your hypothesis. That's exactly what these tools are for. Don't overthink it. But if you're past this point, if any of this sounds like your situation, you've built something with AI and you want to turn it into a product real customers can depend on. Or you're about to invest seriously in development and you want to know what you're building before the money starts moving. Or you have something that works today, but you're not confident if it can handle growth. Or someone built something for you and, if you're honest, you're not entirely sure what's in there. In any of those cases, route mapping is the right first step. Get clarity on what you have and where you're going and what it actually takes to get there. Then build it fast with AI, with engineers making sure it holds together. If you found this helpful, I'll leave a link to our website down below. And if you're building something with AI and you're looking for someone to guide you, that's exactly what we do at Rocksoft. The link is there too. Like, subscribe and leave a comment. We answer every question, so don't be scared to ask. Thanks for watching. Hope you get something useful out of this one. See you in the next video.